What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake NBA Wise Stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I am joined once again. And we are getting down, nation. Everyone is getting down with Stevie Brown. You can find him on Twitter at Stevie Brown DFS. Stevie, we've switched. This is the first time that you're on the show with the new format, leading everybody into lock, doing dirties, dropping sevens. Welcome.
Thank you, my man. Definitely a little bit different doing it this time. It's a lock and everything, but it's nothing really new.
No. In fact, you were one of the people that suggested it. You and Paulie were the ones that were suggesting that we try something like this. So,
yeah, I think it's more efficient too, and like with NBA too. Like I can give an opinion on someone at 5 o'clock, 5:30, whatever, and it completely could be changed in a flip of a minute by the end of the same show or whatever. So I think it's going to go into lock where you get like more live updates and everything, more like in the moment, and like into actual lock, especially for FanDuel or the whole slate locks, like kind of our opinions on a lot of pieces and everything.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, that's the ideal. Obviously, most people that do shows and content in general, typically the reason they do it when they do it is because they need that last 30 minutes or an hour, or whatever the case may be, to do it what they're doing for the night. But we just figure, we'll just do what we do. And just stay on. I mean, what's the big deal? Right? Just blow through the slate, do the dirty. This is one of those slates where it's probably needed more than ever too. Right? We got a lot of injury news that we're waiting for. We're starting to get some of that information. Some of it's cleared up.
What a fucking mess of a slate tonight.
It's massive. We haven't had like a true stars and scrubs slate in quite a while, but this is like it's looking like it. It's looking like it.
But like even like our scrub slate, they're not even like we have so many scrub value tonight, but they're all like such unappealing names to want to play because they're all like 3K shit guys that like don't even like it's. I think it's another like one of those like where it's a value lottery and like pick your 3K 2 or 3 guys in your lineup and hope you pick the right ones to go off.
There are multiple ones out. Yes, there's multiple guys you can roll the dice with.
It's like 15.
Yeah, there's a bunch. Let's go ahead and get into it. So we'll start off. We'll go position by position, Stevie. So we're just going to break this up into 2 tiers. We don't want to spend too long on the breakdown. We really just want to talk about the guys that we're really looking at, the guys that we like the most. We'll answer questions, but after the breakdown portion, and then we'll kind of chill, wait for injury news to come out, and kind of explain how we're reacting. I'll ask you questions about your strategy, all kinds of stuff. So it'll be fun. With that said, point guards. I know, Stevie, you're covering FanDuel for us today.
Yeah, I can do FanDuel.
All right, FanDuel for Stevie, DraftKings.
I'm playing on both sides.
Let's go. Giggity, playing on both sides. Ambidextrous. I like it. Point guards, talk to me about the guys like, say, 6K and above on DraftKings. On FanDuel, I guess like 7K and above?
FanDuel, all right, so biggest names are obviously line, point guard on FanDuel. Westbrook, Trae Young, Ben Simmons, Brogdon up top. I have some appeal mostly in Ben Simmons and Brogdon. It's kind of the game environment you want to pick on Ben Simmons in, where it's fast-paced, a lot of turnover opportunities, zero defense, but no Horford and everything. We get a little bit of a closer spread, with only like an 8-point spread or so. Like he should be able to get like full run at least. So I like Ben Simmons a lot on FanDuel. Same with Brogdon too. Like even when the team is fully healthy early in the year, we saw him still playing relatively well at times, and he's a little more expensive than DK, but relative to the slate, I think he's one of the better per dollar value plays at the top end. Otherwise, like I'm not messing with the 6K folds, not my thing. He's been playing decent, I guess, but I think like he has no upside at the price tag. The only guy outside of like Trae Young, Ben Simmons, Brogdon up top, like Terry Rozier is fine just because the game environment where the Bulls defense is kind of abysmal, but he's just kind of taking a backseat to Devontae Graham now. I think I'd rather play him on DK or FanDuel where he's closer in price to Brogdon and Ben Simmons, where on DK you get a chunk more, a bit of savings, but I like him a fair bit too.
Yeah, I think on DraftKings, there's obviously some value that we'll talk about at some point. Malcolm Brogdon is probably one of my favorite options, like that are not value. He's got a matchup against Trae Young, who grades out as literally one of the, if not the worst defender,
Literally
right?
the number one, yeah.
Defender in the game. He's also extremely turnover prone, and Brogdon happens to be a pretty good defender. Atlanta in general turns the ball over a lot. The usage for Brogdon has been awesome. The Pacers have been weird. They've been just good enough to beat beat teams they should beat, but not quite good enough to beat the shit out of teams. And
It's weird, yeah. They never. I thought they'd be good too. Like you said, like they can win games they're supposed to win, but they will never like fucking beat the shit out of a team like a bad team like the Hawks like they should tonight at least.
yeah. And part of that I think is when they get Oladipo back, that'll fill some holes. And the other part of that is I think Atlanta, looking at tonight's situation, they're better than they were last year. I'm not saying they're a good team, but they're better than they were last year. So that's allowing them to hang around a lot of these games. They're still playing fast. It took a while for the pace to catch up for the season, but now we see that they're still Atlanta. They're still running. So I like Brogdon the most, I think, in that range. I'll talk about LeBron and some of these other guys. I'm trying to where the position. I'm trying to think of FanDuel positioning because it's easier that way. Trae Young is a stud that I'll probably have some exposure to. On DraftKings, his prices come down. I mentioned Brogdon is a good defender, but I've just watched him get lit up by Kemba Walker. If you could shoot, if you could score, there's not much you could do. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to defend. It's hard to really stop somebody who's just, if their shot is on. So nothing more than tournament exposure. But I am looking at him. As far as the, Rozier, these other guys, they're definitely interesting, but to me, more of like a sprinkle situation. Talk to me about the value you were looking at today, Stevie.
Yeah, so one of the things that sticks out a lot, first of all, is going to be the big price differential between Nunn on DK and FanDuel. It's coming in as one of my favorite FanDuel players, where it's only 5.5, and it's typically we get the reverse there, and he's 6.7 on DK. So playing where I can get him cheap on FanDuel a lot more. He's not afraid to shoot. He'll play some bigger minutes with like Winslow and Dragic still out there. Hero, whatever, is playing now, but he will still get big minutes regardless. It's obviously not the best matchup, but I think both teams kind of definitely want to play up here. First of all, it's LeBron come back to Miami. It's the Heat the young Heat core would think they kind of need to prove themselves here in a great matchup, and they definitely do. Playing at home, and then the Lakers, on the other hand, they've been playing with the fire under them the whole entire season too, and I'm actually surprised that the spread's like this close, being 6.5, 5.5. Sorry, I thought it'd be more in favor of the Lakers. So I'm interested. This is going to be one of those games that I'm kind of excited to actually just even watch too, outside of DFS. But yeah, None on FanDuel is definitely one of my favorite plays. And we have like a handful of these like dirt cheap value plays that all like are okay if you want the value, but like kind of weighing them versus each other is kind of tough. Like Derek Walton, do not want to play, but he's coming as decent value in most projection systems. He's one of the lower owned ones. So like if you're a big kind of want to leverage ownership against some of these other chalkier value plays, he's fine. Like between like Walton, Jerome Robinson, TJ McConnell, D'Anthony Melton's the one I want to play most. Like we've seen him get like extended run, and he's played well in it. Like we saw him have like 30 plus DKP and FanDuel points in that 3-game stretch there with no John Morant. Like compared to like Walton, compared to like Jerome Robinson, like I said, like he's not playing with the Kawhi and Paul George. Like he's playing with other like lower usage guys, so I think there's a lot more opportunity for him. Like I think he holds a ceiling. He's only like 500 more expensive than the rest, so like Melton's by far my favorite of the value players there. Tyus Jones is interesting too. I'd never want to play him together with Milton, but like of course he always has a ceiling too. It's interesting how it's going to be played out between the two of them. Like we've seen some wonky things happen in the rotations there. We've seen some games where Melton would start the second half and close out, but Tyus still could start. So like I wouldn't really take it to heart if you see Tyus get the start, because we've seen Melton still come out, like start the second half, close the game out, and still do very well there. So be careful with that there. Otherwise, from like that lower end, I don't think I'm really diving much elsewhere outside of those guys. Maybe if you want to play Teague against the Clippers for a cheaper price tag, that's fine. 5K and FanDuel isn't a bad price tag on him, and he always holds some kind of ceiling. Other than that, I'm not really dumpster diving anywhere else.
Yeah, there's a mixture down here of like super value that like makes sense because of injuries. Like you said, the Meltons, the Tyus Joneses, the Clipper situation, and then there's like T.J. McConnell, who's too cheap for his given role, and it's just going to be low owned, but is also cheap as a pivot. There's Rajon Rondo, who's available to play. He's like he's cheap on both sites. Games on national TV. Everybody loves to play Rondo on national TV. He may only get 20 minutes. He can go for 40 in those 20 minutes if he's on. In a big marquee game like this. So those guys will all be lower owned. With that said, optimally, it's still hard to pull away from Melton in tournaments. I think in cash games, and if you're playing a lot of Melton, playing Tyus Jones certainly makes sense. But it's just hard to the GPP want to be contrarian, like I want to be a genius type thing is like, oh man, maybe I'll pivot to this guy. But in reality, and you can do that if you're building a few teams by hand. But if you're doing a lot of teams, in reality, you're going to have more of the Meltons and the Tyus Jones and the guys who are actually receiving a bump for a reason. Because in theory, when you talk about value, they were priced for a situation that they are no longer in. So I'll have mostly Melton. He's a guy I'll have a good chunk up as far as the value goes. But I'll have some sprinkles of McConnell and maybe even some Tyus Jones just in case, because Tyus Jones will be the starter. They need his defense. But I agree with you as far as the conversation. I think in tournaments, I'd rather go Melton off the bench because his usage is higher. We've seen him close. So it just seems like he's a better point per minute player when he's on the court. That's why he's projecting better, right?
One of the guys too I didn't mention that I definitely want to bring up. I think it's another fine punt play. FanDuel is 4-4 and DK is 4-2. Alfred Payton's minutes trended up to 29, almost 30 minutes last game. When he plays, the one thing with him that's different about the whole Knicks team is when he gets the ball, he loves pushing the pace. If he gets the ball for a rebound, he's running the floor, trying to push the pace for the Knicks. It's always appealing for him. If he's going to get 30 minutes again or close to that with no DSJ, no Trier, he's definitely a fine tournament option.
Is DSJ ruled out?
I think he got ruled out, didn't he?
No. He's listed as probable.
Oh, he is probable now?
That's the only situation. That's the only thing, because I'm with you. I'd love to play some Elf if at 4,200 at low ownership if that's the case. But now you got the third man, the third wheel hanging around there. I mean, still a tournament sprinkle. Just it would have been a better situation if DSJ was out.
Yeah, 100%.
Stevie, let's go over to shooting guards. Talk to me about the guys, mid range and above that you're looking at over there, man.
Jimmy Butler is always super appealing here, but his price kind of got caught up to him on both sides, where he's over 9.5 on both sides now. I don't know how much of a ceiling he has in this matchup anymore. We've seen him come off a super hot stretch, but in those last few games, he's played Atlanta, Chicago, Washington, Brooklyn a little bit before that. Those are all really favorable matchups, and against the Lakers, who are one of the better defensive teams, it's not completely ideal for him. Well, I still definitely want to have some exposure to him, and he's going to be higher owned. He's not a guy I want to be overweight on, but he can, of course, play up when he is the guy with that competitive attitude that will kind of play up in these matchups. Other than that, D'Lo I love a lot too. Don't care about a matchup when the guy wants to shoot 25 field goal attempts every single game. No Draymond again too, so that definitely helps him facilitate a little more. It brings more upside to his assist upside and everything too. I'm so torn how much I want to keep playing Devontae Graham. He's been absolutely smashing. Doesn't seem to be cooling down, but in my head, I'm like, this guy can't be doing it forever. But then I see the 2% ownership on him, and I'm like, all right, if he's gonna be 2% owned against a poor Bulls defense, I definitely want to have some exposure to him there too. Priced around him is Drew Holiday, Zach LaVine, Buddy Hield. Of course, I probably have to like Zach LaVine better than him, maybe Drew too, but given ownership too and upside, I think Devontae Graham is perfectly fine playing FanDuel for 2% owned. And I mean, that's Harden. So here's the thing with Harden. It's super easy to play him because of all that 3K value we have in DK and min-price value we have in FanDuel, but that, like I said before, that value isn't the most appealing thing in the world. It's not like we have absolute smash spot value or even per dollar value in the mid range where it was Middleton and Bledsoe with Giannis at the first game. We don't have that. It's not like it's some decent player who's in a huge role. I'm not comfortable playing Walton, Jerome Robinson, some of those other trash guys to fit in Harden in a not so appealing matchup. But Of course, the guy does deserve some kind of tournament exposure every single night because he does probably have the highest ceiling on the slate every single night. Uh, that's really gonna be it from the top end for me.
Yeah, just starting with Harden, I'm not, even though we have the value to fit him in, I'm not going crazy trying to fit him in. He's got a massive ceiling, there's no doubt, and Orlando's been competitive even without Vooch, but it's a back-to-back for them. Westbrook is supposed to play today, and he's supposed to sit tomorrow, so I don't know. I'm good with Harden. I have no problem, and like there's enough value on this slate that I do like that. Like I don't think I'd have a problem getting him if I wanted him. You're gonna have to play a little more of those guys you don't want to play, sure, but for me, I'd rather use that money even if I play those guys. I'd rather use them to grab another upper play because I don't love the mid tier on DraftKings. Obviously, we're talking about two different sites. On the DraftKings, I don't love the mid tier as much as I have. I do think the value plays project well, and I like some of these studs prices over here. Harden's just not really one of them in terms of price, but having some Harden, sure, it absolutely makes sense. Just because I think his ownership will be a little higher today because people can afford him, like you said. But with Giannis being probable, that may have lowered Harden a little bit because he's cheaper and has massive ceiling as well. With that said, Jimmy Butler's a guy when I was looking before, I liked him a little bit more on FanDuel. The price on DraftKings has gotten up, pretty wildly, and he's priced kind of in a weird no man's land. I'm fine with Butler in tournaments though. I'll have some. The main guys, there's three main guys that I was looking at, like in this mid to upper range at shooting guard on DraftKings. Number one is Alec Burks. He's like 5,300 on DraftKings. Without Draymond, all these guys, if he should play 30 minutes. If the game stays close, he'd play more than that. But either way, he's literally like the second guard, like scoring guard option on this team. No Kai Bowman anymore. He's gone. So I think I like D'Lo, and D'Lo is another one of those guys I'll have around 20% or so because that's dependent on the game staying close, and that's a big ask for Golden State to keep it close with anybody at this point. But the use is going to be massive for Russell. I'll have some of him. I'll have a little bit more Burks, I think, though, because he doesn't need to do as well. He's more likely to get me a 6x return, even if his minutes are capped due to a blowout. Plus, they're just thin, so he might have to play. D'Lo, I expect them to kind of if the game is out of hand, to pull him. But they're going to have to play some of these other guys because they have nobody else. Andrew Wiggins, I like that game in general. Obviously, we'll talk about Kawhi and Paul George soon, but obviously those guys are also in play. But, taking guys from the other side, just hoping for that game to stay close and maximize the upside of everybody in that game sounds awesome. So Wiggins, so it would be D'Lo, Wiggins, and Burks are really the main guys I'm looking at above, and kind of sitting in this range. Kawhi Leonard, I will talk about at small forward instead. With that said, and I think on FanDuel, Kawhi Leonard's power forward, right?
On FanDuel, he is, yes, power forward.
Yeah. So I'll talk about him at small forward. You could talk about him at power forward. With that said, what about the value-ish guys on for shooting guard?
So you kind of said when you said value-ish, there's on FanDuel at least, there's no of those really bargain bin guys for 3,500 or so, but we do have some people who are around the 4K range or so that are grayed out as decent per dollar value. One of my favorites could be Kevin Huerter. We've seen he's getting his minutes limit lifted a little bit. He's been getting backup point guard duties. So he's gonna be seeing 30 minutes or so backup point guard duties. He's a guy who last year showed he's aggressive and can really fill a stat sheet. So the DK price, of course, is a little more appealing, where he's a lot cheaper at 4K. So I like him more there. But even on FanDuel, I think he'll be coming lower owned, which I'm seeing again 3% owned on FanDuel at under 5K price tag. So I don't mind playing him, especially if you're playing guys like Sabonis, who's going to be super popular on FanDuel tonight. If you are one of the people who love to correlate and run it back and shit like that, these bigger slates, and I think he's perfectly fine to do that with. Because it kind of gives you value paired along with Sabonis. But there's Tyler Hero, Brooks in that mid range. Dylan Brooks has been pretty impressive so far this year too. Now he gets no John Morant. Brandon Clark's still out. If he's going to be seeing 30 minutes or so, he easily has 6x possibilities where he's at the 5K price tag on both sites. The spread kind of scares me. I want to look into when we kind of get into a little later in the breakdown to see if he will get a blowout run if it's possible, because with Giannis playing now and the spread kind of rising there, this game definitely can and should and probably will blow out. So something to think about for him there. But only other guy who I'll consider too, like Damian Lee is the only one shooting guard the absolute minimum price that I'm kind of considering a little bit. Uh, he didn't play a ton of minutes the other night, but he looked played like great in his minutes. Like obviously he only scored like 7 FanDuel points, but if you watch the game, like he was really aggressive and no Draymond, possible will definitely blow out too. Maybe he gets a little extra run if you could see like 25 minutes or so. Like I think Damian Lee is definitely a viable play, especially on DK, where it's the dead minimum price tag there too.
Yeah, I think, Huerter is one place to start. 4K on DraftKings. You mentioned him on FanDuel as well. He's 4K on DraftKings, and his minutes limit has been lifted to 30 minutes, so that's pretty promising, right? It's just about a full game for someone like him. Excuse me while I pick up shit I just dropped. There are guys down here, like I agree. I kind of like the guys up top more. One guy I didn't mention above that I meant to is Drew Holiday. He's got a little history with Philly. I'm just going to throw that out there. Jay Rich is there. Ben Simmons, Philly's a good defensive team. I'm just going to throw that out there, though. Drew Holiday, I forgot to mention him. But down here, I don't love it, right? Like you mentioned, Damian Lee's and maybe some Josh Okogie's and like it's ugly down here. I'd much rather grab somebody at the mid tier. And again, on DraftKings, you have Kawhi Leonard available at this position. So
who's super cheap and an amazing matchup. Yeah, on DK. I love him at shooting guard there.
Yeah, exactly. With that said, take me over to small forwards. Talk to me about the guys up, above, upper ish.
So we got Giannis probably in the slate now. I still think they probably run on the side of caution with him, especially in a big slate where they don't really need on a big spread and a big slate too, where they don't really need him. So he's super expensive, and I think I'd rather pay down here. Going a little cheaper too. Probably my favorite play in the slate, Paul George. Game environment's amazing, of course. He has a huge ceiling for a cheaper price tag, like 3K cheaper than Giannis and almost 2K cheaper than LeBron there on FanDuel. Nola Williams, he definitely should see a nice boost, and like I think they definitely can give him a lot more ball handling responsibilities. Even between like him and Kawhi, I think we see more of that compared to like Jerome Robinson or Walton getting the ball handling responsibility. So it's always a nice boost from there too. Tobias Harris, who's been lighting it up again too. No Horford again. We'll see 35 minutes if the game stays competitive, and he always brings some nice upside with him. I like him on DK, of course, too, where he's a bit cheaper there. But otherwise, like small forward on FanDuel, we don't really have a top end. Like the only guys above like 5K who I do have a ton of appeal in are. So I would want some TJ Warren exposure just because he's like fair price on FanDuel in an amazing matchup at 5K, but he's been dudding. Marcus Morris at 5K is fine. Like whenever I see a guy with this much pricing discrepancy between the two sites, where everyone's typically a lot more expensive on FanDuel than DK, and he's like 6'6" on DK, but he's only 5'4" on FanDuel, I try to really go overweight on them. We know he's always going to play 35 minutes in a closer game, and I think this game definitely stays close, even if it is like a bigger 9.5 point spread right now. And he loves to shoot. He's been super efficient. So for the 5K price tag there, I think he holds a lot of upside. Like we've seen plenty of like 40-point games from him, and it wouldn't be surprising to me if tonight was another one. Yeah. Otherwise, Paul George, Tobias Harris, LeBron's fine. I'm not really writing any kind of narrative, so I won't have a ton of him. I'd rather go down to Paul George. But Paul George, Ingram, Tobias Harris, and Jonathan Isaac I like a lot too. Still no Vooch. We finally see him being able to get a little bit more minutes. They've been letting him loose a little bit. And the matchup against the Rockets, of course, is amazing. Faster paced game. Not a lot of defense to be played. And when he's a big stock guy, there's always turnovers to be found when you're playing against Harden and Westbrook. So kind of boosts his upside there too.
Yeah, I think I agree with a lot of that. My favorites, though, going back to the top, my favorites at this position are Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and LeBron James. I think that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George is obvious. The usage bump, right? Kawhi Leonard, it's like, oh, wow, his price has come down. We know he can smash. I like them both. And I think you could play them both. In fact, in my mind, if Giannis would have gotten ruled out, in my mind, I was wondering, like, would I rather play Bledsoe and Middleton, whose usage will be massive, but they probably won't play more than like 28 to 30 minutes each, even if the game were to stay close, which would be unlikely against Memphis? Or do I want to load up and play these two guys together who are very expensive, but they have the right matchup against Minnesota, one of the best matchups out there, with
Noah Williams is huge too. I
huge,
think that goes like overlooked.
huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. No Pat Bev, okay. Now no Lou Will. It's like, oh, and on top of that, JaMychal Green, that's another guy that comes off the bench and scores for him. He's not playing either. You don't have a true point guard to give the ball to Montrezl Harrell. So to me, it's just Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are going to have to shoot like every shot. I mean, obviously some of these other guys, Magruder, these guys will take shots. But I think that they're going to start off playing together, and then they're going to be staggered. And when Paul George is on the court, he's going to be the usage hog. When Kawhi's on the court, he's going to be the usage hog. Then they're going to get a chance to close together in a nut matchup. So in tournaments, I like them. I tend to like Kawhi a little bit more, but that's more because the projections, he just projects better. I like them both. I'll have a good chunk of both. And then LeBron James on DraftKings is only 10K, a site where you get triple-double bonuses. He's playing point guard. He's going to Miami. Miami's actually good again with Jimmy Buckets and these guys that they have. So I think the game will be competitive. It's not the greatest total, but I think LeBron's ownership is going to be really low. And matchup-wise, no Dragic, no Winslow. Like some of the best defenders, you got Butler down there. But as far as the rest of the Miami Heat, there's going to be some weaknesses in this defense. I mean, we'll talk about it at power forward, but it's the same thing with Anthony Davis. Who's going to guard Anthony Davis? They don't have a true four at this point. You know what I mean? So, and if you like Anthony Davis, well, who do you think's giving Anthony Davis the ball? Most likely LeBron James. So it's like, I just think the price has come down enough on those guys. But I do like LeBron. I'll be overweight on him. But obviously, the optimal guys I really like is Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Picking which one, if I have to pick one, tough decision. I think I will have a little bit more Kawhi because I think price wise it's just too low for him. But I like Paul George too, man. I'm not selling him short.
I always just lean whichever one has the lower ownership. Like I'll go more overweight in them. Like so, right now I'm looking at DK. Paul George is 9% owned. Kawhi is 24% owned or 23% owned. Sorry. I'll still definitely at least have 23% Kawhi, but like I'll be more times over the field on Paul George for sure.
There you go. I like that. I can get behind that. After that, I will have some Giannis, not a ton. I'm definitely worried. I mean, even if Ja Morant played, Memphis is that good. But with Morant out, now I'm really worried about the game staying close. So Giannis's price on DraftKings has come down to where it's like, oh shit, I like that 11-2 for Giannis. Get the 80-point upset. That's great. Problem is we don't know. If the game's not, there's a game tomorrow. So if he's feeling, it's just a risk. So I'm maybe around like 20-15%, even though I like him. That's gonna obviously allow me to get more exposure to Kawhi, Paul George, LeBron, AD. Those guys I also like. I'll have a little bit of Ingram just because from a projection standpoint it looks good, but I do prefer Holiday out of the two. With that said, good call on Isaac, by the way. Isaac is 6-1 on DraftKings. That's just crazy. That's just way too cheap. I do like Isaac as well. Take us down to the value area.
So again, there's no really like 5K or like min-price guys, but there's some guys in like the 5K, 4K range I like a fair bit. I mentioned TJ Warren before. Just the matchup against the Hawks or 5-4 on FanDuel is always appealing too. It doesn't really hasn't shown a ton of upside, but the matchup is always nice too. When he's fair price, that's certainly okay. Derrick Jones Jr. He's been getting a ton of minutes and trending up. Like I was a huge fan of him last year, and like I think to start the season when he returned this year, he was at like 0.56 like fantasy points per minute. That's definitely on the rise too, and like he was like a 0.8 per minute player last year, so I definitely don't think that like 0.56 is sustainable. And he kind of regresses in a positive way, and like we see maybe somewhere in between there now. And if he's gonna get 25 plus minutes and he's only the 4K price tag on FanDuel, which is a lot more important than DK on this slate, especially given the position eligibility. I like Derrick Jones Jr. a lot. Yeah, I mean, the only value guys I'm looking at. Oh, Jay Crowder also too. He's more of a guy I want to play in cash games and tournaments because, like, how often does he really hit you like a 35 point like ceiling? But he's always reliable for like 25, 30 TKP, especially in the situation with like no Morant, no Brandon Clark, and everything.
Yeah, over here it's not that different. I like the guys up top. The mid range, there's options like Isaac. There wasn't a ton that I was into. I think. I just like the guys up top so much. There's guys like Glenn Robinson, and you got like the Dylan Brookses and Crowders you can mess around with down here. On DraftKings, you're a little more flexible. Josh Okogie, Huerter, some of the guys we talked about are available. Josh Richardson is like 5K on DraftKings. He played 28 minutes last night. They said they're going to monitor his minutes today. But it's a pace-up matchup. He's a good defender playing New Orleans. He's 5K. I don't mind getting some exposure to him. The minutes thing is a little nervous wracking. He's just out for a while, and this is a back end of a back-to-back. And Horford's already out, so I'm not sure how they're going to approach it. But let's go over to power forwards. Stevie, what do you like up?
Definitely too. I want to definitely reiterate how big the difference is on FanDuel for Marcus Morris being prevalent too. Where like there's not a ton of value, but at 5.4 on FanDuel compared to like 6.6 on DK, I love Morris on FanDuel.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Take us over to power forwards.
FanDuel power forward is interesting. Where in DK, the position eligibility lets you make more of a decision between Kawhi versus Paul George, given ownership. It's not really the same here on FanDuel because we have some other appealing top names here, being like Sabonis, who's going to be super, super popular in the matchup. Atlanta promotes opposing players to rebound pretty well. He's super aggressive with that. Of course, they have a bigger 115 implied team total on the road too, so that's always nice. Should be a closer game, and if he sees like 34 plus minutes, he can absolutely smash the price tag. But you have Kawhi only a grand cheaper in Minnesota, which is an amazing matchup. No defense, faster pace, with no Lou Williams, like you mentioned. I think they both see between the Paul George and Kawhi more ball handling duties. So those two are by far my favorites at the top end there. You mentioned with like the micro matchup too, but AD and Bam up top in FanDuel, who I have no clue who can or will guard AD from Miami. I guess you stick Bam on him when they're not running like JaVale or Dwight anymore, but that's became like so infrequent. Like I don't know who you even stick on AD. Like,
yeah.
So it's gonna be super interesting to see that matchup.
And Kuzma's out too. So
yeah,
with Kuzma being out, they may be more likely to play Dwight or McGee. More.
So I don't like you said in terms of micro matchup, like AD should absolutely dominate whoever he's going to see here. So I think like the big three there on FanDuel being the three most expensive role, super appealing to like AD, Kawhi, and Sabonis. I think a lot gets lost in that mid range because you do have some decent value here for the mid price guys, which we'll hit in a second. But there does become a lot more appeal in that mid range where I said like if they're not the most optimal plays, they'll definitely come in lower owned. So where we have like Jabari Parker for 6'4", he always has a ceiling, that's fine. Randall at 6'6". Even if you want to go like PJ Washington against a bad Bulls defense, he's been playing close to like 35 plus minutes a game, almost 40 minutes a game now, so that's always nice for him. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't really love the guys, but like if I'm gonna get some of these guys super low owned because we have nice studs up top on FanDuel and then a decent amount of mid price options down low, then I'll take some shots in them when they're gonna be like I'm seeing some of these guys like literally 1, 2, and like 0.1% owned, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah, so obviously on DraftKings, I talked about a lot of those guys. I like the small forward, and a lot of those guys are power forward eligible also. So aside from those guys, Sabonis is probably my next favorite here. I think it's a fair price against Atlanta, good matchup in general. So I do like Sabonis. I mentioned I like Brogdon. I like that pairing quite a bit. Anthony Davis, I like him. I think I like LeBron a little bit more, and that's more because of his point guard role. With Rondo in, it's a little bit more even, but I'll have a good amount of Anthony Davis as well. Just like you said, for just basic matchup purposes, I don't see how they're going to stop AD. And I think the prices on both of them are reasonable. If they could both go for 60, it's possible, right? If that game really, it's just close even. They could both go for 60 on DraftKings. That's like 6x for each of them. So I prefer them split. I do. I would really only feel comfortable playing like a Paul George and Kawhi together because they're getting a usage bump, but in the matchup, of course. But yeah, I do like AD as well. But I like Sabonis more. I'll have some, shares of Montrezl, I'm sure, just because you got to give him something. I'm worried about not having a facilitator to really get him the ball in the pick and roll, but
Yeah, that's an amazing point you pulled up. Like he's not like the combination between him and Lou Williams running that second unit
yeah,
has been always so efficient between like because Lou Williams is so able and like willing to get in the ball. Like when you're that much of a scorer, like it also creates so much opportunities for the people you share the court with. So when you really need a guard like Lou Will, he's able to like dish in the ball so much. So I think like if you want to think in terms of basketball, it's gonna be a lot harder for Montrezl to get opportunities unless he get like putbacks in or unless he's kind of creating it on his own.
agreed. Take us down to Value Town.
So it gets interesting here because with no Draymond, of course, first we have both like Marquise Chris and Omar Spellman grading it pretty well. Chris is the guy I want to be most overweight on, just because like first of all, we don't really even know what's gonna happen between the rotation there. Like we've seen Chalk Chris games and he's come out and played like 6 minutes, which just fucked everybody, and like that can happen any night too. And between like split with him and Spellman is gonna be interesting, but regardless, when they're both like mid price, they've always been like decent per minute players. So even if you want to project them both like a 24-24 split, which I think they get a little bit more, like I think we see like Chris running the 5 a little bit sometimes, and like Spellman's capable of doing the same thing. Looney still isn't playing like huge minutes, and there's always foul risk for him too. So you can project these guys safely for like 24 plus minutes apiece, and with that, like they've always been like right below or so a fantasy point per minute. So I definitely love Spellman and Chris the best by far on FanDuel and on DK. I think there's some of the actual only decent value in the slate. The 99 team total for the Warriors is definitely pretty ugly, but again, like, they're not. Like D'Lo is one thing, but like the usage and everything else is spread throughout the whole entire team. And they're cheap too. It's not like I'm paying like 5K for them, where I think that's fine for their floor, but at this price tag, I don't think either one of them can kill you. Ideally, maybe if you want to cap them one per lineup just to help the opposing other players' ceiling, that's fine too. But I like Chris a lot, I like Spellman. Other kind of chalkier guys here like Mike Scott, still no Horford and everything, and it's the Pelicans. That's fine, but I don't personally love him. I mean, that's all. That's all I'm really looking at for my value here. I'll be way overweight on both Chris and Spellman tonight.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. See, it's not, these are two players that have been let down before. The difference, though, is there's multiple people out. Like, they are thin. Golden State is missing Paschal and Draymond Green. Kevon Looney's been on a minutes limit. And Cauley Stein, they really haven't played 30 minutes. Not to mention D'Angelo Russell, if this game does get ugly, they're not leaving him on the court in garbage time. He's coming out. And you're going to see Damian Lee and some of these guys go out there and run. So it's just like they're just short on people. Spellman and Spellman and Chris, I'll have a good chunk of. On FanDuel, if I had to pick one, it's Chris, because I think you're getting more value. He projects better raw points wise, and he's the same price as Spellman. On DraftKings, you're saving $700 if you want to go there. I'm playing them both a good amount. I am.
Me too.
I'm with you. I'm gonna be overweight on them. I'm gonna work in some Damian Lee. Golden State is thin. That's it. Just I'll have some of the regular vets and all that because they're gonna get usage while they're in. But these other guys like Chris and Spellman, these are the blowout guys. You know what I'm saying? Like that is the blowout squad. There's literally like Draymond Green not playing, Paschal's not playing. They now have to fill a hole for the 3. Which they could bump Lee or whatever. But now they got to fill. I agree with you. They may even end up both playing together. One of them might have to play center from time to time. So I'm with you on that. Those are the guys. I'm playing a lot of them. 30s and 7s. Let's go over to centers, Stevie. Talk to me about the center. Go all the way through. Talk all the way through about the centers that you're looking at.
You can easily go all the way through because there's absolutely no fucking trash centers I want to play on FanDuel tonight. I'm playing this top end, and that's really it. It's gonna be Cat, Embiid, Capella, Gobert, just because he's being like lower owned compared to the rest, and like obviously it's gonna be a lot more slow of a game. But Utah still has a 112 implied team total, just because of how bad the Warriors defense is. So if I can get him at lower ownership compared to like Capella and the other guys who are a little bit more expensive, I definitely like Gobert. But yeah, like I'm playing. I think let me count how many centers I have on my board now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 centers. Cat, Embiid, Capella, Gobert, J Val, and Wendell Carter. I'm paying all the way up for center tonight. If you want to take some flyers on guys like Miles Turner, have fun with it. I guess like the matchup kind of is something you could sell me on with him, but I don't think he holds the ceiling as other guys, even though they're more expensive. I'd much rather get my raw points from like Cat and B Capella, those guys. Um, Valanciunas is interesting with no Brandon Clark too. Like he should be able to get like, at least 25 minutes, but I think the game blows out regardless. The Bucks are one of the best teams in defending players around the paint. We've actually seen him take a couple threes now and then, but he's still not a guy who lives outside the paint. So where he's 6'5" on DK, super nice. Like I love the price tag there, but like AK on FanDuel is too expensive for me. I think that's like priced for his ceiling. Like you're not really getting value out of that price tag for him.
Yeah, on DraftKings there's a couple options, but the top is nice. Cat is my first option. 9.9 is way too cheap for Karl Anthony Towns in this particular matchup with the Clippers, who are awful against centers. Joel Embiid, we saw what he could do yesterday. I get the feeling that Embiid is not going to be getting like a full 36 minutes, so I have him projected a little slightly lower. They are playing New Orleans, so I don't think it'd be that surprising if they beat the shit out of New Orleans, because everybody does that. Then again, they had a hard time with the Knicks once, so that'll really make you think and put things in perspective. But with the
And Beach player prop too for Vegas is really nice. Like, I think it's like 26 points and like 14 rebounds or something like that. So like, obviously too, like you could always try to predict a player's production off like Vegas props because like
sure,
no one can ever beat Vegas. So
sure,
with that kind of line, it's always pretty nice.
yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm good with Embiid. I think who else is there? I'm forgetting somebody. Oh, one other guy in the he's not like super up top, but Clint Capella. We know Tyson Chandler's ruled out with an illness, and Vooch is not playing, so it's going to be Capella going up against Birch and Mo Bamba. Mo Bamba, somewhat limited minutes wise. So from what I understand, it's mostly going to be him against what's his name? I just said it. Kem Birch, who's not that big. So this is actually a really good spot for Capella. I think he sees more minutes than some places are projecting him, because what's his name is out. There's one other guy that was interesting on DraftKings. I don't know what his price is on FanDuel, but Rashawn Holmes, I don't like a lot from that Knicks game. But Rashawn Holmes is 5,600. So they dramatically dropped his price because Bagley's back. But Bagley is somewhat limited, number one, and they've been playing. The person who really got hurt the most, I think, is Bielitsa, because they'll play Bagley at the 4 if they have to, and they like what Rashawn Holmes has been doing. So 5-6 for Rashawn Holmes. I'd be surprised if he didn't. In that last game against the Thunder, he got into foul trouble, so he didn't, But I would be surprised if he didn't get a decent amount of run.
Yeah, on FanDuel he's almost AK.
No,
he's
yeah,
7-5.
that's a no way on FanDuel.
That's wait, 5-6 and DK is beautiful, but almost AK for him on.
Yeah.
Like my thing I always say too, like I'm not gonna pay a price tag for what I think is the ceiling. Like almost 8K is like his ceiling price tag. Like 5-6 on FanDuel, you're getting like almost more of a floor pricing, so that's nice.
Yeah, no, I think that makes but yeah, pricing is a different story. Taylor 2 sites, 30s and 7s as always. Also, Willie Cauley-Stein on DraftKings, I don't mind. He's just another one. Kevon Looney is his backup as of right now, and he's on a minutes limit. So if this game, somebody's got to play him. So I think I don't like him quite as much as those other two, but I think you can make an argument for him at that price. You mentioned Jonas Valanciunas on DraftKings. He's too cheap. Game probably blows out, but he's too cheap. He could still get there against Milwaukee. I'm cool with that. With that said, that's going to do it for the breakdown portion of the show, Nation. So at this point, me and Stevie, we'll answer some questions. I'm going to flip over to the Slack screen, and you guys can see the injury feed as it comes out. We are starting to get a little bit of news. This is a feed. This is from our Slack chat, which is available to WiseTake monthly subscribers or higher. This is our NBA injuries channel. There's multiple channels in here. We're just going to show it up and see as the injury stuff populates. We got some lineups here. Simmons, Richardson, Harris, Scott, Embiid for the 76ers. LeBron, KCP, Green, Davis, McGee for the Lakers. AD is in. Heat will start Nunn, Butler, Robinson, Leonard Adebayo. Pelicans will start Holiday, Redick, Ingram, Williams. Favors. Tyus Jones will start for Morant. Nothing surprising there. Let me see if anybody has any questions. Poker for revenge on FanDuel. Uh-oh, holla. Favors is in. Favors is in, and Favors is going to be limited. Like, he's starting, I think, but he's supposedly he's going to
I
be
think it's
limited.
like 16 minutes or so, right?
Yeah, something weird. Which is real weird.
They probably do. Who was the other day that did? It was when Uni came back. Like, he started, got like 3 minutes, and like they played him like 3 minutes stints or so.
Yeah,
So
like,
I'm figuring we get the same thing with Favors.
it's like a principle thing. Start at a principle.
Yeah.
You ready to drop a 7 for the nation? You're not on camera. They can hear you, but they can't see you. Does that help? Does that make you more likely to drop a 7?
No, I don't care about being on camera roll, but like tomorrow I will drop a. I'll drop a 7 tomorrow.
That is dirty.
I'll give you my fucking word.
That's dirty.
You give me 24 hours to look in the mirror. I'll look myself square in the fucking eyes, right in the mirror, and I'll practice.
Bro, that is dirty to the YouTube nation. So basically, what Stevie is saying tomorrow we do the Y streams on Saturdays, but we're not going to do it on YouTube. We have our backup producer going and need some time to set up. So tomorrow it's going to be same show. It's just going to be behind our subscription wall, so our WiseTake members will get it. And Stevie Brown just said he promises. His connection's all frozen, so he can't speak for himself right now. But he promises he is going to drop a 7 for the nation. Wow. If you're new, you don't know what that means. And if you're new, you should subscribe to the channel anyway and click the notifications bell so you're notified when we do go live. We do all kinds of free content on the channel. And while you're all watching right now, waiting out, sweating out, approaching lock, please, if you could smash that like button, man. The likes go a long way, allow us to continue to do these videos and all kinds of content for free. We'd like to continue to do it. So hit the like button, tell a friend, share the love, share the info, do dirties to your neighbors. Not literally. Figuratively. Stevie's back. His connection's back. Is it back? Oh, no, maybe it's not back. There you go. Giannis will play. Tyus Jones will start from Morant. We said that Nicholas Batum ruled out. Malik Monk available to play. That's a situation. Graham, man. What to do with Graham, right? Like, I'm going to have some. But you never know how much to have. You really don't. Dirties and sevens. That's right. Paulie D in the YouTube chat hitting him with it. In the meantime, you're just hanging out with me until Stevie gets here because he's just slow riding it right now. Going in. Yesterday, I know I got a little nutty at this point yesterday, right? Everybody was like, does he realize he's live? Hell yeah, I knew I was live. I don't give a damn. Right? It's my time right here. This is my time right here. You know what I'm saying? This time before lock is my time. That's right. Hit the like button. Some of y'all watching didn't hit the like button. It's not there. Waka flocka. I think we got Stevie back.
You hear me?
There you are. He's back.
Let's go. All right, we back in this bitch.
We are back. Got our friend Doug.
Yo, have you been betting at all still?
Yeah, from time to time. I mean, not, my priority is obviously this, but when I see an opportunity, we got the schedule notes article, so I live off that for NBA betting, man. I just go through, look at the schedule mismatches.
That's awesome.
It's just glorious. Shout out to Jay Irv. He writes it for the nation.
I think you were the one who really made me realize how important like rest and travel is last year for NBA betting, and like that huge, the schedule notes have been so important for me. Like seeing like between like travel, 3 and 4s, like shit like that, like that's so valuable.
It's huge, man. It really is, man. It's huge. It is huge. Bro.
I have like $1,900 in player props going tonight.
Wow, no shit. Who are some
Embiid of over 25 points, Middleton under 20 points, Towns over 24.5, Paul George points, rebounds, and assists over 36.5, Trae Young over 25.5 points. Sabonis over 31.5 points and rebounds, and I think that's it. And then a few other spread bets.
That's dirty, bro. That's dirty. That's what's up, man. Good luck.
If they hit, then it's dirty. Otherwise, I'm gonna be dirty the next week. Looking outside of fucking Grand Central looking for some money.
That's funny. Yeah. No, it's true. You'll be all right though. I got faith in you, man. I got faith.
Hope so.
I got faith.
All right, let me go to FanDuel. I gotta fix up my shit now.
That's what life is all about, fixing up your shit. Can you say? Giannis will play. That is confirmed.
That's nice. Okay.
So, when you say going overweight on Marquise Chris, on a percentage basis, say on a normal slate where you're playing regular volume, 150 teams, how much are you playing both of them? Would you do it on FanDuel, and how much would you do on DraftKings? Like, what's your mentality when you would approach a situation like this?
I would have no problem. All right, so I'm looking at FanDuel where he's. All right, let me go to actually it's DK. FanDuel, he's projected at 29% owned. I would easily be comfortable going to like I'd say only like double that, which is 60% owned. There's a lot.
Connection City. Connection City. Man, Stevie got that bootleg ass connection. That's what happens when you live in upstate New York, man. People don't go up there. You go up there, you might lose connection with the rest of society. That's just a fact. Just kidding. I got mad love for upstate New York. When I was doing the wrestling, I used to do shows all the time, get my ass kicked up in Binghamton. One of the only cities that I used to get booed. I was a good guy. It was always like baby faces, they call it. Come out, get cheered every city. That was the one city I would go to, if you want to call it a city, a town, Binghamton, that they just loved when the big, ugly, mean dudes would kick the shit out of me. They loved it. They loved it. Oh, yeah, he's back. What's up? What's happening? I was just talking. Now I can. Yeah. I was just talking about. We're full of firsts, bro. Oh, it's my day, man. You know what I'm saying? It's my day. You know what I mean? That's right. So you were saying how much you were gonna play of these guys? Yeah, I think it makes sense. I mean, I'm definitely, I'm gonna have my fair share of exposure to these guys. Chris and I'm probably even heavier than that. Again, like I just listen. They're that short. They don't really have a ton of options right now. You know. So that's where I'm at with that. I'm looking at the same. I do feel a little more comfortable with Chris. I don't know if that's just a bias thing because I feel more familiar with him as a player than I do with Spellman. But 3,100 for Spellman, like, I mean, damn, like damn. No, I hear you. I hear you. No, I'm with you. I'm with you on I'd rather get Melton also, definitely. Not even close, bro. We do have some questions in our Y Stream chat. Favorite to least, Brogdon, Wiggins, or Heald, or Holiday. So rank those guys favorite to least. Wiggins and Holiday. Yeah, I'd probably go Brogdon, Holiday, Wiggins, Heald as well. Yeah, I would say the same thing. Cash game locks for DraftKings. Yeah, I agree. Agreed. Grasshopper. Man. So you betting on that? Betting on Embiid having a pretty big day, huh? That's what I gathered from your little prop info, right? Dirties. That's stanky dirty, bro. Yeah, you know it. It's like, yeah, it definitely is. Definitely stanky dirty. Yeah, you see what Kawhi is. We got about 17 minutes until Lock Nation. Oh man, I had this whole time, bro. You're not even gonna believe this. I had you muted this whole time. So the nation, I can hear you, but the nation couldn't. No, not the whole time, but like over the last like 10 minutes. So I've been responding to you, but the nation couldn't hear you. So it just sounded like I was saying some crazy shit and talking to myself, which wouldn't be that far fetched because I do that all the time anyway. But just to clear it up.
It's gonna look weird, real weird from the outside.
Yeah. They're sitting here like, who the hell is he talking to? They probably didn't realize you came back, and they're like, who the hell are you talking to? Here's a question from Big Brody. What'd you think of a core Jimmy Buckets LBJ PG-13?
That's an expensive core.
It is expensive,
but there's definitely value. Like you can play those three, Melton and Chris, and that's fine. It was Jimmy Butler, LeBron, and Kawhi. Paul George. Who's the other one?
Yeah, I think it was. Oh, I forget. I have to look at it. I forget which one. Oh, damn it! I clicked the thing. PG.
All right, that's fine. But the only thing I don't like is that it takes up a lot of your forward spots. I guess like if you want to go to Kawhi, who gets into a guard spot, that's okay. But like the value I like more is in the big spots. So it kind of takes away from you getting like away from like it's harder to play like Chris Spellman, some of the other like big value, but they're fine. Like that's if that's your core, it's your core. Like I don't like taking people off their plays, but they're fine.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Like, on FanDuel, I would recommend maybe using none instead of Butler just to save some money. But on DraftKings, I think you might as well just go get Butler. He's 9.5. None is like 6 something. On FanDuel at 5.5, I do like none. Over there. Over there.
Any like super low owned guys you're like way over the field on, like any like 2-3 percenters or anything like that
that I'm overweight on?
Yeah.
Not really. I don't think that people are. I mean, how popular do you think LeBron and these guys are going to be? I think I probably have a bigger stance on LeBron than most people.
Yeah, the only guy again, like I'm not playing a ton of lineups. The only guy I'm looking at now, just for the few lineups I'm gonna play, who is super low owned, Derrick Jones Jr. would be a tournament play for some decent value on DK.
Right. Yeah. I get it. I get that. Do you like JJ Redick?
All right, so FanDuel, he's okay because of the pricing. He's 4 or 5 there. 5K and DK still fine, of course, because he gets a 3-point bonus. He's a tournament play. If he makes his threes, he's gonna go off. He can get 35 easily. But
If not, then you're
it's just weird too. Like I said before, I'd rather play him on DK because it's a 3-point bonus and everything. But he's a grand cheaper on FanDuel, but I still rather play him on DK.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's sensical. Some things in life, they're just sensical. And I think that is sensical. Man, I just want to play as much as these guys as I can, and I'm having a hard. I'm at a point.
There's so many studs in this slate too.
Man, I'm at a point where I'm having a hard time getting certain guys as high as I want to be, because a lot of these guys are the same position, so they're competing with each other over dookies.
And a lot of the studs too. We have a lot of expensive centers on the slate that have center eligibility only, Cat and Embiid, Bam, Gobert, Capella. Valanciunas is a little more cheaper, but they have only center eligibility too, so it makes it tougher to want to play them both. But I think playing them both in one lineup together is gonna be pretty contrarian.
But it'll be contrarian, no doubt about it. You know what I mean? Be contrarian, all right. Oh, I meant to ask you, bro. Do you want a CD?
Oh my god, where bro? I'm too slick for that. Hey, get me with that one.
I'm getting too old, bro. All my shit don't work no more, man. All my shit don't work.
No, it's
man.
good. That one would work on. Paulie's too good for that one. That's what you would have brought, the bring back Thunder Dan and give that to him, and he would have fucking fought for that when you said
Thunder Dan, yeah, he would have. That would have been great. He wants a CD for sure. No, you want that CD, brah? Want that CD, brah? So, how much Tyus Jones are you playing in comparison to, what's his name? The other guy.
Melton?
Yeah, Melton. Melton.
A lot less, and he's higher owned than Melton.
He's higher owned than Melton. No kidding. Would you play them? Would you consider playing them together?
No.
No, right?
I don't think they could.
I know. I agree.
So when you look at two studs, you talked to Bledsoe, Middleton before. You look at Paul George and Kawhi. When they dominate so much of a team's usage and everything, they're studs. They can go out and score 120 between the two of them combined.
Right.
Melton and Tyus Jones, when they come eat into each other and they're competing for each other's minutes, unlike Paul George and Kawhi, who can share the court and still
do dirties and drop sevens. Yes. With that ghetto ass connection. Yes, sir. Can't even finish a thought. I gotta remember to unmute him if he comes back. We got 10 minutes to Lock Nation. Still haven't had any significant major injury news pop up since the last one, which I think was Giannis will play, which we knew he was probable already. What's going on here? Why are you? Do it. Are you back? You are back. Welcome back.
Okay, cool.
10 minutes to lock, man.
10 minutes left. I think I'm set my FanDuel. Actually, no. DK look better. I'm not set my FanDuel. Fuck.
Yeah, buddy.
You 115 the minimax today?
Yeah, I think I'm doing it. At this point, I've gotten to a point where it's very difficult for me to play without max entering. Like I keep feeling like, it kind of ruined me. Not gonna lie, but in a good way, kind of. You know what I mean?
Between all the value plays, who do you like yourself? Like, so Chris, Spellman, Scott, Jerome Robinson, Walton, Melton, Dybul, Kyle Anderson, all those crazy fucking 3K guys on DK. Like, are any of you Xing out? Like, are you playing? So the one guy I'll consider a little bit too. Actually, for almost min price on DK, like Solomon Hill isn't the worst option.
No, not at all. I think him and even Kyle Anderson, they're thin over there too. No Brandon Clark, no Grayson Allen. They're missing obviously their point guards out. So I think it's kind of open over there.
Terrence Ross for 4-3 is kind of nice.
Yeah, I mean I would have liked that a lot more if Fultz was still out.
Fultz. Yeah.
But he's back. He came here. He's back to ruin everybody's life. That's what he's here for. Welcome. Welcome. I don't like the way that looks. I'm going back, baby. Go back, baby. What it do, baby? Fabrizius Maximus. It's almost that time. We got 8 minutes to lock, man.
8 minutes to lock.
8 minutes to lock. Let's go. Oh, here we go. Is it okay to play George and Leonard in the same lineup on DraftKings? I'm not worried about it.
I think
I'm going to have them, right? If there was ever a spot to do it, I know the prices are expensive, like for two guys that are studs. But if there was ever a time to do it, this is the matchup. No Lou Will, no Pat Bev.
They're really not even like that expensive. Like without Lou Will, like they should easily be like both like 9.5, 10K. And when Paul George, like, they're both sitting like 9K. Like I think they can easily like score the same as like that 10K price range, like LeBron, AD, like Westbrook, and they're a lot cheaper.
I'm with you, bro.
And you can play. Hold on. Like it gets ugly, but you can definitely play the two of them with Cat in the same lineup.
Yeah. Hard. Lifestyle. Hard.
Well, Melton, Kawhi, Paul George, Chris Towns, and you still have your guard, forward, and utility spot left with just under 5K.
Saving my first ones, baby. First upload coming. Gonna win all the money, man. Right here. Magical. It's gonna be magical right there. All the money. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I gotta find a damn thing. Oh, I found the damn thing. For those of you who subscribe to WiseTake.com, my core didn't change all that much because the news that we got was news. I was pretty much, I went as if that was the news, and it ended up working out that way. So core-wise, nothing really changed on the article front. With that said, I do have a lot of Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron as my studs. Those are like my most owned studs. This should be a fun slate. How much Harden are you playing on a percentage basis? Like, is he?
If I was running tonight, I think I'd be if I was running one, I'm not playing him because I'm running limited lineups tonight. But if I was running 150, it'd definitely be. I mean, still, like he's not like super low owned on a bigger slate. 10% isn't like low owned, but I don't think I would be above that. Like for 3K less or almost 4K less, like Paul George for 4K less is certainly fine. Kawhi for almost 4K less too is fine. But again, like he's someone I'm always afraid to fade just because like his raw ceiling is fucking infinitely higher than anybody else's. Well, not really infinitely higher, but we know he can always go for 80 no matter the matchup tonight, anything.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. Got that capability.
And he fits like roster construction pretty well too, because you can play him with like Melton, and then you can play like both like Spellman and Chris with him or whatever the hell you want to do.
Yeah. Paulie D has a question. He says, since we are so high on the two Warrior bigs, how much Willie Cauley-Stein do we have? I have about 20% on DraftKings. Because I still like Cauley-Stein, just because. But I have about 20%. I have a lot more Chris and Spellman, but I do have 20%. How would you approach the situation if you were doing 150?
I don't know if I would have much any. So there's two routes you can really go for. First of all, in the matchup against Utah, when the Warriors really have no size, like Looney isn't even that like big. Like Chris is fine, but he's awful. Like Spellman's that big. Like he, in one perspective, like there's foul trouble concerns when going against Gobert. He hasn't really been breaking over like 25 minutes as of late, but we have no Pascal and no Draymond tonight, so that's always nice. And he hasn't really shown so much of a raw ceiling, but like in the other end of the spectrum, if he does get a minutes increase to kind of match up against Gobert, it just always helps his ceiling because he has been pretty reliable with stocks. And like on FanDuel, it's always nice too. I don't think it's going to be something I want to be like super overweight on, but when he's like coming in like 4% owned, I don't want to fade that. I guess like I would have had some of him.
Yeah, no, I agree. The fact that, I think everybody kind of feels the same way. Everybody's a little spread out to a degree, I guess, right? Sucking on it hard and long. You like that?
Bro, what the fuck are you listening to?
Yo, you didn't hear my new single, bro? Oh,
No.
wow, bro. You don't even know what you're missing, man. That's a shame.
Oh my god.
That's a shame.
Wait,
bro.
what stream did I have to go back to listen to this one?
Oh, yeah. You'll know. You'll know, bro. Because you'll be sucking on it hard and long. You like that? That's how you get the likes right there. You know what I mean? That's what you got to do. You got to get dirty with the nation. So you get them likes and them views and stuff. We got 2 minutes, nation. 2 minutes, get your final exposures in. Get them in. Yeah. Two minutes. Oh man, this is not a good time for my computer to be slowing down. We need to be moving on this, man. I'm not making it. Man.
Oh god.
Yeah, twisted up in the game right now. It's got me all twisted up in the game, man. One minute, nation. 1 minute. See if I can get this last thing up there. I don't even know what the first games are that are starting. Any idea?
I'm pulling the trigger. I'm going Trae Young in my single entry lineup on DK.
Baller, single entry style. Trae Young. Boom. It's happening.
I have Trae Young, Kawhi, and Paul George.
It's happening. It's all happening. Juicy style. Juicy bones. Stevie, you know what you're doing, bro?
What am I doing?
You're sucking on it hard.
Oh my god.
And yeah. Oh, here it is. Let's see if I get this in the last minute. Final adjustments. Am I going to get it in? The clock is on. Oh, shit. I got fucked. It gave me the whole it gave me the whole 30. I mean, I got stuff in there, but it gave me the whole
like 1 of 30.
Yeah.
Fix the other ones.
31 don't help me, bruh. You know what I mean? Oh,
yeah.
Shit. Some shenanigans right there, bro. It is what it is, but Stevie, this has been a great time. Appreciate you joining me tonight. Again, tomorrow we're going to be doing similar format, but it will not be on YouTube. So to get access, you'll need a day pass at least. WiseTake Nation subscribers.
I also just made the winning lineup.
Okay, there you go. So Stevie just made the winning lineup live on YouTube. You guys just witness that shit. Anything in closing for the nation, bro?
That's it. Hope to see the WiseTake subscribers up at the top. It's really gonna be. I like this new format, bro. Like, it's pretty chill. The back end.
Yeah, man. I start singing and stuff about you liking stuff hard and long. It's great. Phenomenal. I like it too. Stevie's a good sport as always. For Stevie Brown, for myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, have a great weekend, and as always, good luck.